Hello everyone. Welcome to a story full of emotions and surprises about Why and When. A new journey begins where love, faith, and perseverance intertwine with every step they take. Let us join Why, a strong and determined man, on his journey back to the south to reclaim his motorcycle and build a sturdy pumpkin trellis for his family's future. Every cut of the saw, every strike on the bamboo, is a mark of his tireless effort. He is not just building a structure but also laying the foundation for a new life, a home where happiness and peace are his and Hwin's greatest wishes. But that's not all. Hwin, with her boundless love, is always by his side, tending to every meal, every detail, giving him strength to overcome the challenges they face. Yaya, their charming little girl, fills the house with joy and sweetness, alongside Bib, the loyal dog who completes this loving family. Yet, a big question remains unanswered. Will this trellis become a symbol of hope, or will it remain an unfinished memory? Let's discover together the most heartwarming twists in this story, where every moment is a new challenge, and love is always the force that drives them forward. Are you curious about the next chapter in Why and Hwin's life? Don't miss it. There are still many surprises to uncover. Why stood holding the phone, his heart brimming with mixed emotions. Suddenly, the voice of the police officer on the other end of the line said, "We've found your motorcycle." A simple sentence, but to Why, it was like an unexpected storm. He froze, gripping the phone tightly, and looked up at the sky, letting out a long sigh. He couldn't believe it. After so many days, the missing motorcycle had finally been found. Why felt like someone waking from a long, sorrowful dream filled with loss. Now, joy flooded him so suddenly he could barely contain it. Without wasting a second, he began walking quickly. His heart pounded harder, his breath mingling with the wind. The road was empty, trees passing by like shadows, and all he felt was happiness overflowing from the depths of his being. Only one thought was clear: return home and share this joy with Hwin. When he reached the alley, he couldn't wait any longer. "Hwin, I have great news!" he shouted with enthusiasm. Before he could see her, he heard her hurried footsteps rushing to the courtyard. She looked at him with a mix of concern and confusion, not quite understanding what was happening. Why approached quickly and hugged her tightly, as if he wanted to merge with that happiness, as if that embrace could capture all the goodness of the moment. He whispered in her ear, "The police just called. They found my motorcycle. I just need to bring the documents to confirm and retrieve it." He smiled, his eyes sparkling with excitement, filled with a joy he couldn't put into words. Hwin smiled too, but couldn't hide her curiosity. She looked at him intently and asked, "But didn't we ask Adam to receive the motorcycle for you?" That question sent a small wave of unease through him. He stood perplexed, a slight sense of insecurity reflected in his gaze. That doubt sparked something within him, and suddenly the warmth of the moment began to cloud slightly. He tried to stay calm, but his mind kept circling back to Hwin's words. Something, though he wasn't sure what, felt off. Still in Hwin's arms, he felt a deep warmth, a silent comfort. Though a slight worry lingered in his chest, in that moment, he felt strong, as if nothing could bring him down. He gently took Hwin's hand, looked into her eyes, and saw trust, understanding, and love. Any unease, no matter how small, would pass. As always, together they would overcome everything. Why sat beside Hwin, a wide smile on his face like a child who had just received a special gift. Joy still radiated from him when suddenly a clear, sweet voice sounded behind him. "Papa, why? You got the motorcycle. Are you going to take Yaya for a ride?" He turned and saw Yaya standing there, her eyes shining like stars. Those innocent words filled his heart with indescribable warmth. He knelt down, hugged her tenderly, and felt the gentle rhythm of her breathing. In that moment, he realized this was the greatest happiness of his life. Smiling, he said softly, with a voice full of affection, "I promise we'll go to the park and anywhere you want." Yaya looked at him with her big, bright eyes and let out a joyful laugh, nodding excitedly as if the best gift in the world awaited her. The peaceful atmosphere of their small home was filled with a warm light, and the aroma of freshly baked cakes wafted through the air. Why sat at the bamboo table, gently stroking Yaya's head, and glanced out the window. Then he turned to Hwin, who stood by the kitchen. "Hwin, Tomorrow I'll head south to confirm and retrieve the motorcycle, he said with a calm, steady voice. Hwin listened, unable to hide the concern in her eyes. She approached tenderly and asked, "Do you want me to prepare something for the trip? Can I help you?" Her words were soft, filled with care and affection. Wai shook his head and smiled lightly. "No need, love." The sunset began to fall, casting a deep calm over the surroundings. Wai looked toward the stream, his eyes reflecting a mix of melancholy and determination. He knew that by this stream, something new would begin, his plans, his hopes for the future. He stood, glanced at Yaya, and walked to the stream's edge. "Yaya, Papa's going to build a trellis here for the pumpkins. I hope it yields a good harvest," he said, picking up a shovel and starting to clear the bank. Each strike into the earth carried a dream, a hope for the days to come. The simple landscape held a special beauty. Under the sunset's glow, Wai's family seemed more united than ever through these small but meaningful gestures. Yaya with her innocent smile, Hwin with her tender gaze, and the father and husband building a future for his loved ones, day by day. Everything was simple yet imbued with love and hope. Under the fading light, Wai and Hwin placed bamboo poles one by one along the stream. Each stood firm, like pillars guarding their small haven of peace. They worked in silence, perfectly in sync, needing no words, just gentle, purposeful movements, as if everything flowed naturally. Wai's strong yet careful hands drove the bamboo into the earth, forming a barrier to protect the stream. The water was crystal clear, but so cold it seemed to carry away all the effort and patience he poured into his work. The chill made him shiver. His feet, submerged for a while, were numb to the bone. But he didn't care. He felt only the calm of each movement, the sound of running water, and the steady rhythm of his breathing. His gaze was fixed on the task. His hands, accustomed to hard work, moved with skill, pulling weeds and planting each bamboo pole firmly. His body began to tire. The icy water drained the warmth from him. His lips paled, his skin trembled from the cold, but he didn't stop. He continued with patience, refusing to let exhaustion overcome his will. He glanced up briefly and saw Hwin watching him with concern, but he said nothing. He didn't want her to worry. Knowing his work was enough kept him going. Hwin observed as he drove another pole into the water and cleared the stream's edge. She approached, her eyes full of worry and tenderness. "Why, don't push yourself too hard. You have to travel south tomorrow," she said softly, her voice laden with love. Wai smiled without pausing, his gaze calm, a little sad, but resolute. "It's fine, love, just a bit more." Hwin wanted to say something else but held back. She knew he wouldn't stop, no matter the fatigue or pain. That was how he always was, working for his family, for those he loved. She could only watch closely, worried but also filled with pride. Meanwhile, Yaya sat on a small blanket beside Bib, the loyal dog resting by her side. The little girl watched her father, noticing the exhaustion on his face. Her big eyes filled with concern. Without a word, she stood and walked slowly toward Wai, carrying a glass of fresh water. "Papa Wai, drink some water. You need to take care of yourself," she said in her sweet, sincere voice. Wai turned and saw her standing there, her eyes full of care and maturity. A deep warmth spread through his chest. He took the glass, drank a long sip, and the cool water restored some of his energy. "Good job, Yaya," he said with a smile, gently patting her head. Yaya returned to her spot beside Bib, watching her father silently with an innocent yet trusting gaze. She knew he would do anything for their family's happiness. Bib, with attentive eyes, seemed to understand too, as if he were an inseparable part of their bond. Wai stood and looked at the stream, his eyes reflecting renewed determination. He turned to Hwin and said in a warm, firm voice, "Hwin, I'm going to build the pumpkin trellis here. I hope it yields plenty." She looked at him tenderly, her gaze holding a hint of worry but also deep trust. She said nothing, just watched him silently, understanding everything without words. Wai returned to his work, clearing the stream's edge again, filled with faith and hope. He knew this place would become a small garden where his family could plant and nurture their dreams. He drove the bamboo poles with strength and care, as steadfast as his own heart. Those poles would bear witness to his constant effort and the immense love he felt for his family. In the distance, Yaya sat with Bib, and Huynh stayed close to Y. The three of them, along with their faithful dog, formed a perfect picture of unity and hope. Everything blended into a single feeling: warmth, love, and a shared future. Y stood in the courtyard, saw in hand, his gaze filled with determination. Before him, long bamboo poles lay still under the tree. Each firm cut transformed the tough, rough bamboo into shorter, sturdy pieces, ready to build a solid trellis for the pumpkins. The sound of the saw slicing through the air rang out in a steady rhythm. Each movement was a reminder that life is built only with patience and effort. Sweat drenched his forehead, but he didn't stop. Under his hands, the bamboo took shape. With each finished cut, he let out a small sigh, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. He lifted the bamboo pieces, adjusting them with firm strikes, ensuring they fit perfectly. The hammer's sound echoed loudly, marking each step of his work, each blow filled with persistence and determination. Bit by bit, the pieces came together, forming a structure as strong as the dreams he and Huynh were building for their family. Each strike seemed to bind the fragments of their lives: love, hope, and the challenges they had overcome together. While Y worked tirelessly outside, Huynh was busy in the kitchen. The soft glow of the fire reflected on her face, illuminating it with a warm shine. With her sleeves rolled up, she moved her hands skillfully, preparing familiar dishes filled with the flavor and love of home. The sound of sizzling oil, the aroma of freshly cooked rice, and the carefully arranged ingredients filled the space. Every detail showed the love and dedication Huynh poured into each meal for her family. It wasn't just dinner, it was her way of caring, loving, and being present. Occasionally, when she stepped into the courtyard and saw Y working under the sunset's light, Huynh smiled. She knew that no matter the exhaustion or difficulties, he would never give up. She approached slowly, her eyes filled with tenderness and pride. "Y, dinner's ready. Come eat and rest a bit. Tomorrow's a long day," she said, her voice soft as a caress. Y looked at her, smiled faintly, and replied calmly, "I'll finish this and come in. Don't worry." Then he returned to his work, determined and serene. Every drop of sweat on his forehead was a mark of faith in the future. Every strike on the bamboo, every movement, carried the hope of a new life, a united and happy family. Y wasn't just building a trellis for the harvest, but a solid future for the three of them, a place where they could live in peace, filled with love and hope.